Hello, everyone. Welcome to Low Code Campfire for Friday, November 11th. This is episode number 74. It's open lines Friday today. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I am Dale Warner, head of support for Plant and App, joined here ably by Mr. Patrick Anderson, technical success manager for Plant and App. This is a weekly event that we do on Fridays this hour to it's a community gathering where we get together and share techniques, challenges, experiences, talk about the platform, bring something to show, but this is all skill levels welcome. Our past editions are recorded on YouTube. That's youtube.com/plantandapp. You can use that QR code to get to it. But all the past episodes are out there and we try to index them so that you can get some good value out of them. We keep a pretty simple agenda. We do introductions. We go around the campfire, which is first call. We'll talk about any contributions to the campfire website. The community, sometimes there's feature requests, any topics that you submitted in advance, which there are none this week. And then sometimes we talk about ghost stories and dark corners. We'll describe that when we get there. When the meeting's over, we run an afterglow segment. We turn off the recording and we raise a virtual beer. But this is a meeting format, so jump in, show and tell. You can use the chat window. It says raise hand or unmute, but I don't even know if you can raise your hand in this. Anyway, yep, you can do that too. We have very few guidelines, but it's mostly be nice, and if you've got noise going on behind you, that you mute. You can submit those questions and topics in advance with that QR code or with the links that are sent out when we send out emails to you. With that, I'll say hello, and it looks like the regular crowd shuffling in.
Hello, hello.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Anybody catch my Billy Joel reference?
Oh yeah. Where's our Long Island guy?
Do not know. So first call. Anybody with something urgent? Burning sounds right for campfire, right? What's going on?
Well, I'll lead off, I guess. I have a particular need to have images associated with a given customer / project. And I've been experimenting with the single file upload for the file and the file manager. What I need to be able to do is store a URL for that image and have it then be retrievable by an external piece of software. So if I use the single file upload, that does a really good job in that it organizes, it creates the directory structure that I need and so on and so forth. Does a very good job of that. However, thus far, the link, the URL that I've been able to generate has only been the link click URL. And what I'd like to be able to do is just simply say, have either an absolute or a relative URL for that particular image, for that particular client, for that particular project.
So you're saying that absolute URL, you're trying that and that's not giving you what you want?
Well, thus far, let's put it that way, Dale. Thus far.
Okay. All right. Because my experience with single file upload is that this is only on submit, right? After you click the button and the file gets uploaded, that the absolute URL gets returned. You can store that someplace or display it or whatever you want to do with it, but
yeah,
that URL, you should be able to click it and get where you want to go, get to your image.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just check.
We can, of course, approach this a couple of different ways. I mean, if that's enough information, we can come back and try again, but it'd be very easy to set up a demonstration, or we could look at your code and see if we can spot where it's going sideways for you.
And whatever's easiest. So I did see and attempted to use the the field name absolute URL, field name relative URL, and was not getting, again, it probably just is how I've got it configured, but wasn't really getting the results that I was looking for. So that that, let's say it's a relative or absolute URL. When I store that, down later on, I've got a text field down in the stack, and I want to store that URL in that text field, and the initial value of that field should be the field ID with the appropriate addendum to it, say relative URL.
Yeah, you're probably going to want absolute URL if you're passing it to somebody else.
Okay.
Because relative is going to be starting with a slash, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so if your field name was, and I'm just going to be simplistic about it and say picture. So yeah. The idea is picture. So picture : absolute URL should give you a URL that you can pass to somebody else or save or whatever. But it's only good after you submit, right?
Right. Yeah. This is only, I only care, only care about it after the submit. So, all right, I've updated the field. Let's see what happens. Huh. All right. Let me file. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I probably can.
That's I think what you're doing should work, but I want to throw out there another possibility. If you're having trouble getting the path, the absolute path, you can create that as you need it. With a create update token. If you know where the path is, you can create it on the fly.
Okay, so hold that thought. So I'm looking at the database now, and the project logo URL that I was creating starts with the absolute path as indicated, but then it has /linkclick.aspx and then file ticket, file name sort of thing. What I want is just the full path to that image. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Without the link click. That's what I was getting.
So it makes me wonder if there's a setting that is enforcing that. Why? Because I would have expected it to return a simple URL.
Right. And that's what I was thinking too. So but that's what I've been getting. So, I mean, the options on the file upload.
Let's build a quick test here.
I was wondering, what sort of folder are you using to save the file into?
Very
because
nice.
If it's a secure folder, then you will get that behavior with the link click.
Right. Okay. So that brings up a good point. Thank you. I'm using the one that gets automatically. So in this entity, it has a type of field called image that then creates the folder structure for the entity and so on. And that is a secure folder. So that sounds like that's maybe the heart of the issue here.
Could be. And so, yeah, I was going in a different direction. We were just kind of doing a raw form instead of a you're doing one that's created by an entity. There is
Now, while you're thinking,
Mhm.
the entity, I mean, I put the image type, the field type as an image in the entity.
mhm.
Specifically, that's not a hard requirement per se. What I do want to take advantage of, though, is the automatic creation of the directory structure. That's what I'd like to, otherwise I'm then going to go in prior to this, create the directory, subdirectory, then put the image in there. I was hoping to be able to do that all in one fell swoop with the image type as part of the entity. But it sounds like I'm going to trip over the notion of security.
So you can, if you choose a parent folder, you can have it dynamically create subfolders.
Do tell.
Yeah. So if you go into the file manager and create something called customer uploaded logos, and then you put that as the stub, and then create then have a dynamically created folder underneath that. That'll work, and it will inherit the permissions of the parent folder.
Okay. And thank you. That's pretty much what I was looking for. When I create, at what point does the correct subfolders get created?
Well, if I'm muted. Yeah, when you do the single file upload and specify what folder to put it in, if the folder doesn't exist, it will create it. But if it does exist, it will just use it.
Okay.
And you do that using the expression.
The expression mode. Yep. Okay.
On form submit.
What's that, Mark?
It'll happen on form submit.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I like that feature where it makes the folder. That comes in handy.
Yeah, so this is, I'm just kind of going over our default functionality. So I've added a cover image to my books entity. So look at site assets. This will have created this folder structure for me. So what is it? Images. Oh,
It'll be under files, I think, because you did it through your entity.
yes, thank you. Files, entities. Books. And so
Should be there.
I would have thought so too. Oh, I just didn't get, I hadn't expanded it. So we have cover image and we have the file.
So if you go get that URL for the file, that will give you the link click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, so again, it's kind of an attribute of the folder, right? The property is secure. So with a secure folder, I guess you cannot, that's kind of part of what comes with a secure folder, right? You can't directly retrieve content out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess I went insecure.
Yeah. Another, I'm sorry. So I was almost paying attention while you guys were talking about it. So you advised that you could use the single file upload to create his own directory structure. Is that where it went?
Yeah, so if I understood it correctly, if using the expression for the file location, if the subdirectory doesn't exist, it will get created.
Yes.
Then on that topic, so let's say I've got, parent folder, project images. Then I want to have a folder for each project ID, and then a subfolder underneath that for the type of area that it's used in the project. I could specify the folder name using, let's say in this case, a cookie, right? So
And
it's
all the way down. Yeah. And multiple paths, and it'll
/ cookie value. And that would then create the subfolder.
Yes.
Okay.
Will all the way down, and then absolute. If it's not a secure, if the root is not a secure folder, then it should be a standard folder and return a good absolute. The link click one, the fact that it returns a link click one, is that a problem for your for the service you're trying to pass it to?
Well, to be quite frank with you, I haven't attempted that yet because I was kind of thrown off the game as a result of the link click. So honest answer, I don't know for sure.
Because I'm pretty sure you can use this as the source of an image. We copy that and, for example, open it here, it's going to open. But I think if you use the same thing in an image tag, it will work. So
It will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So even though it's ugly to you, it will still work.
Yeah. So in other words, if I've got this URL with the link click and I send it out via an API to another application, you're saying that this link click might work as hoped.
Yep.
It will.
A couple of things to bear in mind. If the service doesn't like query strings on the URL, the question mark link click, you can probably, I'm pretty sure if you rewrite it, you know how you can DNN can accept them with slash notation. So you have the key / value. That's a way of getting around it. If you decide to go with the unsecured folder, and you've got the full path there, one of the things that we realized after a little while was that you have to sort of be careful what you're putting in that path, because you don't, if for example, the ID of the project is something you're not normally exposing to the rest of the world and you're trying to keep that hidden, you don't really want to stick it into a path, because it exposes information that someone might use against you. That's why link click is nice, because it doesn't tell anybody anything.
Yes, that is also a concern of mine. So what you're saying then is, if I have a URL that ends with the link click.aspx ? file ticket and so on, I can potentially rewrite that, eliminate the question mark, and just use / in its place.
I believe so. You drop it will be link click / whatever the file ticket /
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. I'm fairly confident that will work, but I haven't tested it recently enough to really remember.
Okay. I shall give that a try. Thank you. I appreciate the input.
Oh, man, I am just wandering all over the place today. Can't make HTML. So, I'll try it again. So an image source equals that thing that we got from, that file ticket. And I'll just do that. Yeah, so it can, I mean, that's just kind of proof that it will work directly with, just like somebody can use that as an image source. Is there?
Okay, yep.
Now it shortened it for me because that DNN knows better than their editor knows better than what I wanted, right? But,
Hey Dale, while you're there, you're gonna try changing the question mark to a /.
After link click, Dale. Yep. I think Jim said you have to take out the ASPX.
And change the equal sign to a / as well.
let's do it twice. So we have, so we're going to get rid of ASPX. Is this what we're saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
And file ticket. And I think that goes a / there, yeah.
And do we want to leave the rest of it on there?
I think that looks like that would be okay. You don't have it wrapped, that's okay.
Yeah, so I got one, but not the other.
I
So
think the rest of that needs to be either converted or dropped with the equal signs. And that's an interesting. So that's another /.
Yeah, good.
I think
/ portal ID / 0, I think.
Mhm. Just like that.
what do we?
And
What's
yeah, I think you can drop that.
yeah, get rid of all that.
Yeah.
A nice group experiment.
You misspelled portal ID. Dale, you
Yeah.
misspelled portal ID. I think.
How did I?
It looks right.
Sorry. My
That
bad.
is the way it was.
Yeah, still doesn't like it. So it must avoid that. Oh well. It's the problem is I remember looking at it, but I couldn't remember what the outcome was. And it looks as if the outcome was it didn't work. Yeah, it needs the portal ID as part of it. So it looks as if you have to use that notation.
This has got to be like watching paint dry to watch you guys. Try to do.
Well, we've all been there. This is good. I appreciate it.
Okay. So there are variants that will work. You got a couple of different possible solutions using insecure, using link click. So
I will test them out, see what works.
all right.
I did not think that I thought that link click was not going to transport well. So
Yep.
that's worth a try for
Yep.
sure.
We went sideways. All right. So someone else. I went several rounds with Mark this week trying to figure out about Remember Me. I don't know if any of you guys were following along on that discussion, but we discovered that the core.net, the core action to log in users kind of defaults to the Remember Me choice. So we were concerned that our login action didn't really do much in terms of specifying what it was doing, but what we discovered was that it sets if you have permanent persist user login, whatever the parameter in the web config is, set to allow a longer time, it uses the max. So long as a user doesn't log out, they can return to the site, and whatever the max configured for the site is, that cookie will survive. Was anybody else following that one? Did that make any sense?
So you're saying that in the web config, you set your max limit for time, correct? And then the Remember Me will simply stay alive for that max allowed time. Is that correct?
Yeah, with variations. So the core DNN login has the ability to have a Remember Me checkbox, and so you can go either way. If the user leaves it unchecked, then it's a session cookie. As soon as they lose the session cookie, like signing out of the browser, they're logged out. So you can and then in the same way, you can enable that in the core login, and at that point, it will follow the web config. Where are we? The web config persistent cookie timeout value. If you have this to some number of minutes, like 10,000 minutes or whatever, then the Remember Me for the core login feature will apply that, and so they'll stay logged in. With our login action, there isn't a choice. It always uses this persistent cookie timeout value. You can't set it. It will create a token, and it will be the maximum amount of time. So they'll stay logged in.
So does that, all right, there's a couple of different contexts here, but in the case of using the Plants and App login, it looks at the web config and keeps the user logged in for that length of time, whatever that is, correct?
If they don't explicitly sign out, yes.
Okay, so they don't need to check. There's no checkbox to check.
Right.
In the case of the .NET Nuke login, if you check the Remember Me button, it then will look at and reference the web config value.
Yes.
Okay.
So our login action works like with Remember Me as a default, and you can't access the session, the shorter version, the non-Remember Me version. We don't support that. That's where I came away. So the non-Remember Me version was a session cookie.
Okay.
Right, so that was a little bit different than the DNN login form, and that was a little disconnect for me just because it was different. There was no Remember Me to interact with. But do you have a good solution there, Dale? You suggested updating the cookie manually, in programming.
You didn't happen to try updating the cookie yet, did you?
Oh yes, I have. It's complete and working.
So is it correct you had to update this is the .NET Nuke cookie, you had to do it by using a kind of a intermediary token? Is that true?
Yes, and that was brilliant on your part. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, I
don't-
didn't understand it when you first showed it to me. Like I said, I wasn't logged in and I saw the wording set, it made it look like this isn't gonna work.
Yep.
So yeah, Dale made a custom constant token and put the built in the core token for getting cookies inside it.
So the get cookie token for our product doesn't like the idea of using a dot, right? If you tried
Mhm.
just a simple cookie colon ASP.NET. So imagine this surrounded by brackets. If you tried this, it returns nothing. But I created a PAST namespace. But I created a get cookie that allows you to pass in a name. So now we're getting around our syntax issue, and it will allow you to return a cookie with a dot in the name. And by way of proof, if we go to application cookies, you can see that the .aspx session ID is this sk whatever IDO. So it is returning it accurately. We tried, when you look at this page initially and you're trying to return the .NET Nuke cookie, which is the thing that's there when you logged into .NET Nuke, it's returning blank, and that was the confusing part in trying to explain this, because if you're not logged in, it's nothing. But if we go ahead and log in here, and I'll find a login, we see now that the .NET Nuke cookie gets a nice long value, and it's actually able to be reported. So the same issue, our core token to return a cookie doesn't do it, but using this PAST get cookie that I created, which is a very simple, dirt simple.
So is that cookie just basically doing, a search and replace? Is that the idea?
So let's take a look at that one, because again, it's very simple. Get cookie, it's if we edit it, it just says use the normal cookie syntax, but replace the name as as a token. So this gets around that will end up returning something that gets parsed okay by our parser. The
Because
dot
it
is
includes the
confusing our
period.
parser.
Because it
Sorry?
includes the period instead of in trying to interpret the period. Is that
Yes, yeah.
way of thinking of it?
So in the same way, you would and I think Mark did this, I haven't done it. You can create a set cookie that passes in a token parameter.
Yeah,
So
that's what I did.
yeah, so if you want to set a cookie according to if you wanted to, for example, you could just retrieve, in this case, the idea was we're going to retrieve this same cookie. Where did we go here? We want to retrieve the same cookie and then do it with an expiration date of your choosing. So you might set your web config time, maximum time to be a month in minutes, but let them pick, do I want to stay logged in a day, a week, a month, and then just change the expiration date of this cookie accordingly. So it's a very easy hack to get a very custom result. Did you do it as a drop down, Mark? To let them pick?
I thought about it. I didn't, because I wasn't sure that I actually wanted to expose that in the project that I'm in. Kind of want to control that a little bit. Actually, I don't want them to even see it. I don't want them to have to think about it. I'm trying to create something that they don't have to worry about logging in. So, but I created a static token for the number, so I could easily and so I like the idea a lot. The user being able to choose the duration.
So I have a question along these lines. First of all, that's very, very cool. I like it.
Yeah, thank you for your help on that, Dale.
No problem.
If the user comes back and visits, let's say that the expiration for the Remember Me is, 30 days, and they come back within 30 days, that expiration then gets renewed for 30 more days. Is that correct?
I don't think so. It only gets extended if they log in, right? Because the cookie doesn't I don't believe it's a sliding cookie.
Okay.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
And just by way of example, if we look at this again, if we inspect it and take a look at it, the .NET Nuke cookie is set to expire at 17:32, which is the minutes I signed in 4 minutes ago. If we refresh this page, which would be simulating coming back to the same page, just opening it up,
Okay.
it hasn't moved.
Yeah.
But if you wanted it to be sliding, you could be smart about it and put that cookie somewhere where the user is going to trip over it, right? That they'll just hit, evaluate a token that extends the date out to be whatever your window is. So you could make it sliding without too much effort.
So using this, the dot cookie, the past cookie, you could read this cookie and then adjust the date and post it back to the user's browser.
Yep.
Okay.
So, what does the group think? What are the ramifications of extending the login for a longer period of time?
Sorry.
Please jump in.
Is it keeping a session in memory on the server or something like that?
What the way we implemented it at the university was we went into the web config and disabled the Remember Me and hit the button and forced people to log in every single time. That was consistent across other applications at the institution, and people were logging in primarily with Active Directory, so it was the same thing they logged in with. So the usernet or the password was managed through Active Directory. But no, we didn't. The idea of Remember Me, especially in an environment where people might be not locking their PCs when they walk away from them, and anyone can wander up to it. Okay, it could be that the browser is open on something sensitive when they wander off to coffee, but at least with it automatically times out, and you have to log back in again. So no, we were very skeptical or very suspicious of Remember Me.
There was also, it depends. For example, if you're designing something that might well be used on a shared resource, that's and it should be secure. Well, that's one scenario versus something that is unlikely to be that way. I suppose it's a good argument for having the .NET Nuke login used when you, in other words, the .NET Nuke non-Remember Me ends up creating this as a session cookie instead of a permanent expiration one. So there's an argument to say that the non-Remember Me button turned off version of DNM's login is more suitable if you think that devices are going to be shared or it really needs to be secure.
On the flip side, I have a small number of apps that, I really do need to know who the user is. But the security aspect is close to zero. Like it
Right.
doesn't need to be secure. So I want to extend this keep me logged in for a long time.
And-
so every time they arrive, they're already there. They don't have to log in all the time.
And I definitely agree with that use case. I do it, a lot myself. I get tired of logging in to a site that really is, it's just a test site. Who cares?
Right.
So set the time for a long time, and there's no security implication.
Right. So I wonder, is this using server resources, or is there a downside to keeping someone logged in a long time besides the security aspects?
I don't know how it's implemented on the back end, but my guess is no, right? The cookie handles the authentication. And so if the cookie, and it is handling the authentication each and every time you hit the site, right? The cookie is there, and that says whether or not you're able to log in. So, or whether you are logged in. So I don't think it holds anything open. I'm guessing it does not.
Okay, so bear mentioning at this in this conversation is there are a small series of videos on the Phantom app channel at YouTube where Reza put together a remember me procedure. It's quite extensive. So it's worth looking at if you're interested in following up on this. He used a bunch of other aspects to prove you are who your computer is saying you are, who you are claiming to be.
Yep.
It's all related and available.
Yeah, and I did one that the QR code, essentially you had to have two factors. You can log in on your phone keeps a cookie, and so in order to log in on something else, you can just use your phone to log in. And there's with those kind of concepts, you can come up with a variety of, either you have to have two factors, and I think Radu did one where he integrated with Google's authenticator, where you had to have a many digit code to access. You open up your second device to get your code. So
Right. So and related to your idea of using a QR code to log in, this is going to be a silly question, but can we read a QR code that is on our mobile screen already?
I don't think so. I think I think the barcode, there is a barcode action that anticipated doing that with barcodes. And I when I last tested it, I couldn't figure out how to make it work. And I don't think we've done that for QR codes either. So, but the idea was if there was an image, you'd be able to pass it an image and have it look at the image. Does anybody else, Patrick, do you have any exposure to that one?
No, I was just thinking about it, but no.
I remember we did do that with I think the reader action will read QR codes, but you can't generate QR codes. If I remember right. But we
generating QR, I was going to say generating QR codes. There's a nice API that does that you can just.
Oh yeah. There is that's what we use. But my recollection is that we sent people QR codes, and they were able to use that to confirm their booking just by holding it under the scanner that was attached to a workstation. So the scanner read the QR. It was the scanner that was able to read the barcode and act as a what do they call it? HID. It typed in the code. So that's possible. But you need to have something that's capable of scanning the barcode.
And then
or QR code or whatever code.
the one that I demonstrated, I can't remember if I did this as a Campfire contribution or not. Let's see if it's here. Yeah, QR login. It was it's visible here if anybody wants to take me up on it. But the idea is that the QR code itself is scannable, and so scannable by a phone. It is a URL that includes other parameters. So, but if you scan it, you see it's just a full URL. And so the phones kind of naturally do it these days. So if you don't want to have a device, you can, have a separate device, you can just do it with your phone. But it has to be, the phone is scanning something, not looking at a picture of something.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to create an auto login where they trigger the auto login by typing in the email. And the system would send them an email or text with the QR code that they would then scan. But they currently, I think they need to either print it or show it on another phone so they can use their mobile phone to scan it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
We need an email scanner kind of thing.
Yeah.
It
Well,
looks,
but at that point, it's just a link, right? So why not?
Yeah,
What
it
is the
certainly
effort of-
could.
Yeah, we did something similar with GUIDs, a long random string that they paste in, because the fact that it's a QR code doesn't add any level of security. It's just a different way of representing characters.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I think this is on a different train of thought. The QR code can be pretty. It can be mysterious. It's hiding, it's obfuscating the address because your eyes can't figure out what it says. So it's just, another way of going about it. It's not really a business requirement.
Cool. All right, it's 47 minutes in, so I don't think we're on first call anymore. I'm going to do other things. We are at the end of our beta test window. I wonder if anybody has done any beta testing for 1.23.
I am trying to get something up to it. I'm having trouble. So got a ticket started already.
So that is so the window is closing. This thing, our internal release calendar, as far as we know, it's going to be released on Tuesday, the 15th. So it's going to have general availability. But one of the things we talked about, Remember Me. One of the things that has consumed my time and attention this week, and I worked with Matt on this one, was if you try to install all hot fixes all at once for version 122, it's a great way to make a mess out of your 122. And I haven't gotten down into, I turned it over to development, so I don't know what the answer is, but it's just kind of a general warning. We've had several people trying to, oh, well, I'll just install all my hot fixes for 122 and something doesn't work right. I spent a lot of time on it yesterday, and if you install them, there is an install order that works. There may be many, but installing them one by one did seem to work, but the all probably did a migration script out of order and caused some problems. So Matt, were you able to find a place to revert to that?
Yes, I was very, very grateful that I still had my backup from a week ago, and it got me back to 1215. And the moment I'm staying put.
Yep. Well, good. I hate to deliver that news of yes, you should use your backup, but that was the case. So
I think that's what's happening to me trying to get to the beta version. Because I had to go through a couple of versions to get that. So I installed the hotfixes item in time to get up.
Yeah.
So I guess I need to roll back.
If you're having problems with the after you upgrade all hotfixes, and the kind of problems we're seeing is lots of errors in the logs, and our pages like users and what we call our low code pages, users, and there's automation history, there's SQL console, these different pages were not working well. We're not working. So if that's your symptom, then that might be why. And I haven't tried going from 122, just jump with no hotfixes directly to 123. That may work also, but all hotfixes is just kind of a known thing that we're trying to figure out what to do about.
Hi, Dale. Jerry here.
Hey, man.
On that topic, one of my websites I have on 123, and I'm going to start doing some testing today. It migrates along perfectly. Another website that Bogdan was gracious enough to set up for me just for testing and teaching my son to program, I can't get it to update after 121.5. And by that, I mean, if I go into configuration, go to updates and click on install 122, it just kind of thinks for a few seconds and then returns me right back to 121.5. I think we have seen this before. I've actually read about it, but I'm just now trying to give it some love from our team. Is there a quick fix for that, or is it licensing, or is it me personally? What have I done?
I've seen the same thing, Jerry.
There's there is one thing that we should check. There's a known issue where the SQL user must be a DB owner, and we should probably check to see if that's the one that's biting you. The way that symptom comes out, if you do that, is that you'll see Plant an app down at the lower left-hand corner will say it's at version 1.21. It didn't advance, but if you look at the updates, you'll see that all of the related products like form builder and listings did go to 5.22. So if that's your symptom, that probably bumped into that known issue. Are you looking it up, or you?
I am. I clearly in the bottom right corner of my menu side is 121.5, and then let me see where my
Like APIs, for example. What version does it show APIs?
Yeah, I'm showing 5.22.
Yep. So you bumped into the almost certainly it's that bug. The underlying issue is that our developers wrote a migration script that used a SQL verb that assumed you had DB owner rights. And if you don't have DB owner rights, the verb didn't work, so therefore the migration didn't work. I can send some instructions, and I will put that on my list.
So really all I need to do is go into the login credentials for that website and SQL Server and give it DB owner rights.
Yes, but now that it's unless, I mean, if you're going to revert to a backup and do that, yes. Otherwise, do that. Plus, there's some SQL you got to run.
Oh, okay.
So
I'll take the instructions, please. I'll look those over. So you're saying I have this particular website, which thank goodness is not a client website. It's not mission critical anyway. Me and my son are the only two people who ever access it. So we're saying maybe I have it in a state that it needs to be repaired before we try and go forward.
Yes.
Okay. I would prefer to use your scripts to repair it as opposed to loading the backup if possible.
Okay. I'll find that here and send it on just as soon as the call's over. So this is an on-premise? Or, I mean, it's your own,
The database, I'm sorry, the SQL is on a server that is hosted by Plant App. So I'm not a system administrator.
yeah, that's the question. Do you have DB owner rights to the database?
And I'll have to go look and find
I
out.
mean, can you get into SQL Server Management Studio on the database?
And I will certainly go do that right now, and we'll find out.
But we'll, if not, I can probably figure it out too. I'm sure I have access to it, but it's just typically on our infrastructure, users are set up as the DB owner, and so they're not running into the problem, but tends to be the on-premise people who are not DB owner. By the way, this was unintentional. We didn't intend to introduce this requirement that the SQL user is the DB owner. It was just a use of a verb in a migration script that triggered it. So we're probably going to find a way to go around it. So, and not use that verb, not add that as a requirement. But the short-term answer is if you become DB owner, you can solve this. So I'll work with you directly on
No worries. No worries.
All
You
right.
just chime in and say, I used that script that Dale provides to good effect. Picks me right up.
Yep. So long as you can get to it, you needed to get to DB owner, right? You had to assign that in SQL Server, and in Jerry's case, he might not have rights to do it. So we'll figure it out. Okay. Well,
No worries.
I guess we have, if there's any last minute things that should be reported, let's jump in. Otherwise, we'll adjourn to Afterglow. Right. In that case, I want to thank you all for showing up to Low Code Campfire. We'll do this again, same hour next week. It's one of the best parts of my week. I like you. Glad that you guys come week by week. See you then.
You then.
Thank you.
Bye.